Start again? Haha. Welcome, friends, syncretists, lovers of truth. Great to be with you again, especially for the second part of this series, audio and video, how it is produced, and language. Audio is part of language, right? You don't see it, you hear it. But of course, letters have colours. B's for blue and black, right? V and G are for green, verdant, green, and that's how it goes. There may be 5, even 6 letters that can produce a certain colour or a shade of that colour, but there'll be 12 colours in the alphabet. And not every letter has complete rulership over any particular sound or word or letter. So there's the law of interchangeables. But this is going to be more or less a guide for us to understand how words are produced. Words create. And we're very powerful with our words. So they always say either write something down or verbalize it if you want to manifest it. So you can go around thinking things all day long, I want this beautiful partner. And you never actually express it. You don't have to tell anybody, you can just say it, because there's ears all around. Your higher mind is always listening. Or you can write it down, that's another way of doing it, because writing is very, very powerful. And so in today's lesson, I want to talk about the letters as we go around the zodiac and the archetypal words which each letter produces. For instance, A will always be the father, AB in Aries, Abba, Abraham, Abraxas. In Spanish, abuelo is a grandfather, abuela is a grandmother. Ab. So you can see how it all works. You see, you already make a connection. First 2 letters, 1 and 2, have to do with the father and the mother. And then we go on with all the letters. And the alphabet is actually a spell. It's a gospel. God's spell. It's God's spell. And that's simply because it's liberating and it is also enslaving us, depending on how we use language. You can use a knife to hurt people, or you can use a knife to make sandwiches to feed the poor. So that's the same with language. You see, you get these one-sided researchers and experts and gurus who will say, oh, the English language, it's evil. Yeah, yeah, well, so is Italian, Greek, German, Russian, because everything has 2 sides. Right? So when you just focus on the one, you'll never get it. So we never do that in syncretism, you know that. From the beginning, I've always shown the duality in the unity of things. That things always have 3 genders: male, female, and neuter. Every word is the same. An example. So, Adam. Well, if you grab that A and you put it there, what's that in Mexico? That's the girls' toilets. Damas. Girls. See, Adam happens to be a madam. a dame in distress, a maid, yeah, same with, I mean, you can do it many ways. You can do Don is another way. Adon, that's another way of saying Adam. And you've got Donna. Right? Dennis and Denise. A dame, a madam, madame. In Japanese, dame means watch out. Sorry, that's not a good cross, is it? Danger. Dame. In Spanish it means give me. Dame. So, yeah, the lady, the lad becomes a lady. And there's always neuter in here too, neutral. It's the same with every letter. They are predominantly masculine or feminine, but they stand in for each other as well. They're interchangeable. So the law of interchangeables is very, very important in syncretism, especially the L and the R. Those are the two most important, right and left. Red and blue shift. The red and blue shift universe. Red and blue. L is a blue colour. R produces a red colour. Rosso in Italian. Rojo in Spanish. Rouge in French. So, but it can start with a K in another language, and you might say, so it only works in English. No, because you see, that comes from another root, which also derives from an archetype which produces that colour. Okay, so it doesn't have to be conforming in every area. You can't make, this conform. In many instances, you just can't make it conform in every case. All right? But I've done presentations in Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and they always, I get gems out of some, and I get gems that I can't reproduce in English. But I can in those languages, all right? I've done some amazing Spanish ones. I'll tell you, syncretism in Spanish is just, it's incredible. All these atum is just absolutely incredible. And in Italian, there are some gems in there that, I could show you, and I have, and I do. But they're not directly related. You have to know languages as well, you can't just... You can't stick with one speciality or one field, because what we do in syncretism is we sync things up, and the ability to do that will distinguish you. If you have that ability, that will distinguish you from the rest. So let's see here. What have I got? PowerPoint presentation. All right, well, let's do the wave. We're all familiar with the wave. I always do the Tropic of Cancer at the top, Tropic of Capricorn at the bottom, and the equator at the centre. All right? And then we just go from March the 21st up to June the 21st, down to September the 21st, down to December the 21st, and then back up to March at the equator. And that's a sine wave. But rather than always doing it like this, we bring it around and make it static rather than dynamic. And then we put the solstices in, and there you go, voila. In astrology, that's the symbol of the earth. Ooh. symbol of the earth. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? How that can really reveal a lot about the earth. You see, in Spanish, the kanji for the earth is that. And I think it's also for Saturn, which is called Do. Aha. Saturn is called Do, huh? Dominus, the Lord. Dose. And so Saturn Day is Do Yobi. From the god Saturn, Dose. But in astrology, Saturn goes like this. So, you see, already we have connections from one field of science, astrology, the mother of all sciences, and then we just pick one language and we see the connection there. You see, so this is why it's valuable to look into all languages. In my presentations, every single language known to man, I believe, of all the most used and common languages, I have presented and shown how they sync up. You know, everything is interrelated. It is in fact interrelated, everything. So I'm kind of in the middle of trying to find a slide which will help me with a point I want to make before I go on. Once I find the page. So the mechanics of the wave, they call it wave function, don't they? They're always talking about wave function and wave mechanics. And why is this important to understand what a wave does, you know? What's sine and what's cosine? Well, the syncretism wheel, the astrological wheel is nothing but a wave. Everything is waves. A second is a unit of time, but it is a wave. And that wave functions mechanically the same as a minute's wave and an hour's wave and a day's wave and a year's wave. So that's why we need to understand this fractal universe in waves. So once you understand waves... Oh yeah, look, I just stumbled across this one. This is another good one too, yeah. I was doing the... Here's another one. Maiden, and then you've got a male Aiden. Is that Adam hiding in there by any chance? I think it is. And then there's Madonna. No, it's one D. What am I doing? Two N's. I'm Italian. What's going on? Madonna, la Madonna, per la Madonna. My uncles used to say that all the time. Per la Madonna. When anything, you know, oh Madonna mia. When they get angry, it's always the Madonna. Quella Madonna. Amanda and Mandy, a man. Something interesting too I want to share before I do the wave and begin wave function through the eyes of astrology. So we're not going to look at this like quantum physicists do. They're compartmentalized and they don't acknowledge astrology as a true science. So you're going to get steered down the wrong path. The wave must be understood astrologically, period. There's no other key to understanding the wave. And the sand-best method, which is what we're teaching in this academy, That's the method. This is for method. Is syncretic, astrological, etymological. So we are first syncretist. Everything is syncretized. S is 19 equals 1. Yeah, well, equals 10. 1 plus 9 equals 1. That's 1, that's 1, that's 1. These are all ones. Astrology, number 1. Etymology, which we can also say etymology. Etym is the same as atom, rest assured. So the syncretic astrological etymological model gives you the best method, which is well, I put my name in there because I've been doing this for well over a decade now, and so I've been developing it and developing it and developing it and refining it, and so now I've worked out how all the parts have to be done correctly. Ecliptic, remember, astrology is an ecliptic science. The signs of the zodiac are not the constellations. The 30-degree signs are on the ecliptic. That's why when the sun enters Aries on the 21st of March, Aries begins. And you'll see that someone born on the 21st of March, you look at him, he looks Aryan. But hang on, over in India they say, no, he's Pisces. It doesn't look it. I remember once in Australia, I used to go to this Indian restaurant. Forget the guy's name, but first time I met him, I saw that he was Aryan. And he was born on the 21st of March. And I said, you're Aries, aren't you? He looked at me with his almost blue eyes, Indian with really electric eyes. And he goes, yeah, how do you know? And I said, I can see it. And I said, what's your birthday? 21st of March. Then I turned around to his wife, and I saw Libra, and then I saw another sign. I got confused between the two. She might have had that sign in her rising, but I saw the other sign. I forget which one it was, and she said, no. And then I said, well, are you Libra? And she said, yes. And so, and her birthday was also in the first 23 degrees of Libra, which in sidereal astrology would make her a Virgo. But there's no Virgo in her. You can say she's Virgo all you want, but she doesn't look Virgo. I was born on the 24th of March. If you know what you're looking for, you can see Aries through and through. It's so prominent in me. Yeah. How about this one? I'll put this in now, I just thought of it. Arthur and Martha. I don't know whether I'm Arthur or Martha. Do you guys say that in America? It's an Australian colloquialism. We say it all the time. He doesn't know whether he's Arthur or he's Martha. Yeah, you see? You see, because the woman is actually female. And the same with Adam. He's a madam. Funny, isn't it? All right. Sine wave. The sin of Ave Maria. This is the sin of Eve. Eve is the wave, Adam is the pulse, the magnetic pulse. And Eve is his partner. She was made by a rib of atoms. The rib is the ions, the electrons, which ionize the next atom next door. So you have to, who was it? Donahue, Bill Donahue. he goes on about that. He goes on about Adam and Eve. It's just talking about ionic bonding. The rib is not a literal rib. Like God was so clever, he could make Adam out of the red dirt, right? He makes this man. Wow, I made this man. Now I think I might make a woman. Gee, I forget how I did that though. Can't do that anymore. I'll have to borrow a rib from that guy and I'll just put him to sleep and I'll rip a rib out and make a woman out of a rib. Oh, and there's Eve. Oh, I mean, this is how people take this literally. They go to church and they're taught that these things are literal. It's so sad. It breaks my heart. Because I was there for years. I was trapped in the corporate Jesuit system of indoctrination. Inculcation. Inculcation has the word cul in it. And in Latin, culo is your backside, your bum. So when they inculcate, that's what they're doing. Yeah. Sodomizing you with lies. Oh, there was a page I was looking for. I ain't going to find it. I might do it later anyway. All right. And what's this one? Ecliptic, sine wave, Taurus, method. Oh yeah, I was right. This is the method. You see, before you apply any method, you must have a good model. Syncretism is the model, which gives the method. See, allopathy, which replaced naturopathy and homeopathy, is a bad model. Therefore, all their methods, ventilators, remdesivir, chemotherapy, chemicals with multiple side effects, deliberate, is a bad method. They kill people because it's a bad model. That's their model. Oh, we have to, all the doctors, they're all registered and they have to conform, don't they? And they do. And the ones that don't, they get a visit and they get 2 suicide bullets in the head. Bang! Might do it again. Yeah, I'll do one over here now. Bang! And the back of the head too, like, hey, Auntie Mary, can you just point that gun to me? Can you pull the trigger?
Help me out.
Help me out. I want to commit suicide. Yeah. So, fossil fuel energy, bad model. I mean, in Tartaria just a couple hundred years ago, people were flying around in their boot vehicles. They just take off. They'd have Vimanas, Mercury vortex energies, vehicles. Which could fly, which would go into the water. They were amphibious. We're starting to see some evidence of this now, of photos and video footage of the amazing. Back in the Chicago Fair, World Fair, there was what do they call those? The walking, not elevators, at the airports, you get on that belt and it walks you? Conveyor, yeah. They had sidewalks that were conveying people. So they jump on, you'd see them jump on, and they're just walking like this and then just moving down the road. Why did they remove those? How deviant. How deviant. We had all the technology. You see how we've been fooled? And simply because they said, oh, astrology's evil, that's the first part of their plan. And yet they use it. Just going back to this word Adam, which is the man. Have a look at this. This is brilliant. 1, 4, 1, 4. It's the 13th letter, right? Which is 4. Now, 1 plus 4 plus 1 equals 10, equals 1. 1 plus 4 plus 1 plus 13 equals 19, equals 10, equals 1. Man, 13, 4. 1. 14, 5. 4, let's do it this way. 13 plus 1 is 14, plus 14 equals 28. That's my number, by the way, my birthday. The 24th of the 3rd, 1963 equals 28, equals 10, equals 1. Everything in my actually in my astrology all goes to 1, 1 or 6. But if you do it this way, 4 plus 1, the reducing, here's reducing, and here's not reducing. Of course, these are leaving the numbers as they are. But if you reduce them, you got 4 plus 1 plus 5 equals 10, equals 1. Please take note of that, and also Dan, which is DNA. You know, Adam, that one, that Dan, and the lost tribe of Dan, where you've got 4 plus 1 plus 5. DNA. It's all 1, okay? And in Japanese, dansei means man. All right? So, we are starting to see how to syncretize letters, numbers, and all of this makes magic. So we have a circle, which is a sine wave. Circle is cycle. Phys cycle, physical. Recycle. Calendar, cylinder. All right. We have the equator. We have the solstices. Going to be fussy now. And we're going to put in the 12 signs. Whoops. All right, so let's do this all astrologically, guys, because that's the key. The key is to understand waves astrologically. We're going to place the signs with their elements and their modalities in there, and then the ruling and exalting planets to tell the story of how all the players in the solar system, the sun and the moon, the planets, the stars, how they all produce, they're just producing waves, okay? They're perturbing the field. The sun is a field perturbator. What's the field? Well, it's ether, the element that doesn't exist. Thank you, Einstein, Jesuit. So 100 years ago it existed, for thousands of years, forever, and now it doesn't exist. Well, the sun, which is a projection, is just perturbing the field and the ether lights up. light travels through the ether. You see, they give you a speed of light, but that's the light of the transverse wave. It's not the light of the longitudinal wave, which is instant. Longitudinal wave, magnetism, doesn't suffer any degeneration. Keeps growing and growing and growing and growing forever. But the transverse wave, doing this all the time, eventually, like when you're listening to your radio in the middle of town, it's all your favourite rock songs, right? You know, and then you start driving out of town and all of a sudden the radio starts crackling. Well, that's because they're using transverse waves, which they don't have to, but they want to limit us, you see? That's the limit of how much you can hear this radio station. My uncle used to be a shortwave radio guy. He always used to buy these big radios because he wanted to listen to Italy and get the news there from all around the world. Well, how did he get those waves around this ball, Earth? Oh yeah, it bounces off the ionosphere, then it bounces off the Earth, then there, and then, you know. All they're doing is they're using longitudinal waves. And they're pretty much instant. You see? But they tell you they call it shortwave radio. I grew up with shortwave radio. I mean, it's not... These days we don't know much about radios. It's like an old word. Oh, them radios from the olden days, radio. Right? Like dial-up phones, you know, like the... You know, when I grew up, our phone number was number 9. Can I have number 9 Morale, please? Oh, yeah, Benastia residence. Pretty good, cool number, huh? Number 9. One number.
Man, you must be old.
I'm as old as them hills out back there. Yeah. All right, guys, so Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, DNA. Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. All right, so here we have fire, cardinal. Here we have fire. Fixed is going to be blue. Fire fixed. Huh, that's cool. 2 Fs in Leo. Fixed fire. And then, of course, Sagittarius is mutable fire. And we're going to make that green, mutable. So let's do all the mutables now. Mutable, mutable, and green. Let's do the fixed. 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 And we've done the fires. Oh, what else do we got? We've got air. All right. No, what am I doing? Cardinal is red, okay. Cardinal is red, so we've got red, red, and red. All right, I got a bit confused there. So we've got cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable. The cardinals are the strongest signs. Card means door, a hinge. So these open, March the 21st, is a portal. It opens to the spring. Cardinal, it explodes. The door opens. It's a cardinal. Then spring settles down and gets very, very, very fixed. This is the highest, this is the young spring. The blossom happens here. after the cold winter, and then blossoms in Aries. In fact, the Japanese have a holiday where they sit, it's called the equinox is called I'll remember it in a minute because I've been there twice during the sakura season where they have champagne and everything under the cherry blossom trees. And there's pink cherry blossom trees all around Japan. It's just beautiful. And you see people having little picnics on the equinox, and they have a public holiday on that day and on this day. Huh?
Nisan? Or is that over there?
Yeah, Nisan's over here. No, that's Nisan. Nisan is Aries. Nisan.
New sun, Aries.
Yeah. 2 suns. Ni. Ichi, ni. Ni is 2. But it's Aries. And Mazda is also Aries. Can you see Adam there? All right, so fixed is when a season is fixed and sort of more permanent, more stable. And then mutable means mutate, change. Therefore, spring is changing. Now, the twins double the heat for the summer. As Bonatti said 800 years ago, Gemini comes in the spring and the 2 twins double the warmth. And then Cancer is hot. See, so here is a mutation. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, creator, preserver, destroyer, Shiva. These are the destroyer signs. All right? So everything starts, grows, and decays. You're young, middle-aged, old. So that's what the modalities are, okay? Now, I like to explain it like this. A fireman has a hose, a nozzle, and the water coming out of that nozzle, right at the nozzle, is very, very compact. It's actually pressurized. It's explosive. So you're holding that fire hydrant. You could call this first part here, you could call that cardinal. And then what happens is when it goes up, it expands. It hasn't broken up yet, it just expands. And now the water's in its natural state. It's fixed. And then as it comes down, what happens? It breaks down molecularly and it rains down. And that's what mutable is. Or you could liken it to an aeroplane. An aeroplane takes off and it really has to exert a lot of pressure on those engines, right? Explosive, really explosive. That's the most explosive, energy consumption during the course of the flight is that takeoff and getting up into the air. Then once they're up in the air, they're just floating there, fixed, for hours and hours and hours. You can't even feel you're flying. And then as it comes down, it's like deflation almost. And that's mutable. So there's many ways to make these comparisons and analogies. But now, so you've got 3 modes. 3 modes, but you've got 4 elements. And those are, so fire, I've already done them in red appropriately. I'm going to do earth in green. I'm going to do water in blue. I'm going to do air in black. Now, right now, if you just joined, you're going to see all this and you're going to go, oh, well, what's all this? So you might have to rewind or, and just take notes, all right? And do it your way. But I always use colours. I always use 4 colours in all my presentations, always have done. So, now, 3 elements multiplied by 4, 4 elements multiplied by 3 modalities gives you 12. So there are 3 kinds of each element. Fire has cardinal, and notice where the fixed happens of fire, and notice where the fixed happens of fire, the mutable happens of fire. So look at this. Fire, cardinal, explosive right here in the springtime where the blossom happens. It needs that energy to get those flowers blossoming, blossoming, hyperbola. Then, of course, interesting, this is summer, and this is the middle of summer. It's fixed fire.
Leo is the flame too, fixed fire.
Yeah.
Aries is the spark,
Yeah.
the opening to the fire.
And then where do you think mutable fire would be a nice place to put if you're going to invent this? You can't make this up, you see. You just can't make it up. It has to be in Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Well, because winter can't have any fire, can it? There's no fire here. There's earth, air, and water.
Wow.
So there's only fire. The elements can only exist in one of 3 quadrants. There'll always be one. So fire cannot be here.
Spring is missing water.
Water cannot be here. And air cannot be here. And earth cannot be here. So we've got fire goes like this, and it makes a triangle, by the way. So let's do the fire triangle. Join at the F's. That's why you get a grand trine. In astrology, a grand trine is beneficent because it's a 120-degree aspect. And it's called trigonal radiation. And it's benefic. Because why? Because if Jupiter's here and Saturn's over here and Mars is over here, they're all in the same element. They're helping each other in the same element. So when you say, oh, I have a grand trine in fire, well, you know that person has got a very mystical, inspirational, intuitive nature already. Air. A grand trine in air. People have grand trines in air. If you don't like long conversations, try to avoid them. Because they'll talk the back leg off a horse. That's another one you don't use either, is it? Oh, yeah, okay. Or till the cows come home. Ah, she was talking till the cows came home. Do you have that one?
That one.
Oh, good. Oh, gee. I feel stupid sometimes. I use these expressions. I went to England and I was using all these Australian, nursery rhymes, and they're like, we don't have that. What's that? Okay, let's do water. W, 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 W. Grand Trining water. Very emotional people. Very stable. Because it's good. Could be, though, that they're excessively emotional too. Because the air trines make people very, very mental. They're right in their minds, It's incredible. It's almost unbearable. I think it's probably the hardest trine to deal with, even though it is a blessing for them, right? But this is trigonal radiation. Trigonal. Earth. Oh, look what we got here. All right. And so Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn speak to each other. You see, if you've got a trine in one of those, or two trines, then you must have a third in the same element. Oh, not must, because it has to be within an orb. But, one trine in like I've got Mars in Leo, 5 degrees, aspecting, trining my Sun in Aries, 3 degrees. So that's 2 degree orb. That's a pretty good trine, because that's Aries, the head, to the heart. So I've got Mars here and I've got the Sun in Aries. So that's a trine between my heart and my mind. And I truly believe that that's what's helped me to to be where I am with syncretism. That's it. There's a good connection here. Intuition, you know how there's intuition and intellect, right? So you know how they say, "Oh, I learnt that off by heart." Yeah, because you learn with your heart. You don't learn things, with your... Well, your heart is the main hyperbola. This is the main magnetic field. All information comes through the heart. All right, so that's trigonal radiation. But now what happens if we connect the elements? Now we have a problem, because what we're doing now is we're going to... not the elements, the modalities. So... No, I did the modalities. Excuse me. The elements. I'm getting confused. So let's go with... oh, no.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I did. It is the modalities. Okay. So let's go from, since we've done it in red, cardinal, 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 cardinal. You see that square there? Right, it's not very accurate because I didn't put the letters in, precisely. That's called a... No, of course, no. It's, I can't believe I can't understand. A grand cross.
Oh, yeah.
All right? Because if you've got a planet there, they're making these 4 tetragonal... Tetragonal radiation, that's harmful. These squares, you don't want squares. You don't want 90 degrees. Why? Well, because you see, this is fire, this is water, this is air, and this is Earth. All those 4 planets are in different frequencies. Different states. You might have Mars over here in that cardinal sign. You might have the Moon over here in that cardinal sign, Saturn in this cardinal sign, and Venus in this cardinal sign. And that's Earth talking to fire, talking to water, talking to air. Of course it's going to be detrimental. Of course it's going to be a grand cross. Because if you've got a square, then you've got an opposition between the others. You see that cross? When I do the chart of people who have grand crosses, depending on whether it's a cardinal grand cross or a fixed grand cross, or a mutable grand cross, I can tell you the nature of the evil of that cross that it brings to them. Okay? That's why tetragonal radiation is harmful. So this is all going to help you understand wave function and the mechanics of waves and how they produce these letters in this series called Audio and Video. How is it produced? So you see, these are harsh aspects, you see, and these are benefic aspects, the triangle. 120 degrees between the elements, Taurus to Virgo to Capricorn, beautiful. People who have grand trines in Earth, they're very practical. You? Wow. Yeah, and you are practical. You're like the practical pig in yeah. Nick's got all these. He came from Minnesota, right? And he's living here now, but he's got I don't know how many tools he brought down and how many suitcases, but he's got plenty of tools. So that shows you, like, you got a hammer. Have you got a saw? Yeah, I've got a saw. You got a drill? Yeah, I've got a drill. Where did it? How did you bring it here in your car? You drove here, right? You got all your tools, dude. All right. So can we understand now how you have fire, earth, air, water? Now people may think, oh boy, how does fire transition to earth? And Bonatti explained this because he said there's a conundrum that people young astrologers don't understand. They always ask, how can Taurus follow Aries? Because fire is, when you look at the elements, you've got ether, fire, air, water, earth, solid, liquid, gas, plasma, ether. This is where the big difference, the fifth element is the ether, and then this is plasma. Plasma starts with fire, the pulse. And then you've got air, water, and earth. So you'd think fire, pyro, plasma, purge. How can that go all the way down to there? See? Now this is where we're going to be masters of the sine wave understanding. And Bonatti explains that in his book on basic astrology. I recommend you get it. You can get it for $20 on Amazon. Well, we're going to explain that, but you might be thinking now, so you've got 4 elements, and you've got 3 modalities. And let's pay attention. We've already noticed 1 element. Let's do the other 3 elements. We did fire, right? Of course, this has to be cardinal here. Because the sun's been down here, it's been longer nights, shorter days for half the year. And as soon as it gets here, the longer days, the shorter nights begin. Therefore, this is the sign of the sun's exaltation. But in Christianity, in religion, it's the sign of Easter, which is coming up, and it's called the resurrection. Would exaltation and resurrection perhaps syncretize a little bit there? Oh, yes, they would. So you can't make this stuff up. Here is always the resurrection. Here is the birth of the sun on the 25th of December. Because you see now, this is the beginning of the waxing, and then here is the waning. But this is the beginning, again, of the true beginning of the sine wave, because you should always start sine waves at their equators. At the wave amplitude, you can do it, that's fine, but this is the more correct. So you have the lamb and the goat, the sheep and the goat. And when I come in my kingdom, I will, when Jesus, the fisher of men, Jupiter, the ruler of Pisces, Jesus, when I come into my kingdom, I will separate the sheep from the goats. You see, this is cardinal fire. This is the head. The cerebrospinal nervous system. That's your spiritual nature. It's connected to your etheric body. But Capricorn, that rules the bones. That's solid and dense. You see, and that's earthy. So the goat being the Masonic symbol of Masonry, replaced the Lamb of God, which was in Tartaria. So the Khazarians, when they changed in 1758, when they changed the start of the year from here and they brought it down to here and pinned it to January the 1st instead of April the 1st, they also got rid of the Baromets and they introduced Baphomet. Baromets was the Lamb of God in Tartaria. Baromets, and they brought in their goat, Baphomet. Alright, you see the met, and the bar, okay? Barfo, baro. So they got rid of the true calendar because they didn't want us to start the year. They called these people April Fools. So I remember growing up, you know, you turn up at school in the morning. You can only do this till midday. Do you have the tradition where you trick people? Up till midday, yeah? You know, they'll say something like, yeah, your shoes untied. Oh, right. April Fools. Gotcha. Now, this is how far the Jesuits went, the Masons, right? April Fools, and it happens on April the 1st. To help us to forget. Now, there's nothing wrong with having the year starting in Capricorn. There's nothing wrong at all. This is the secular year, and this is the spiritual year. That's all. This is the year that runs taxes and business. This is the business-minded guy. The Arians, it's the spiritual-minded guys. Ptolemy, 2,000 years ago, who gave us the true Ptolemaic model of the earth that supposedly the Jesuit Copernicus debunked 500 years ago. Ptolemy said, this is the spiritual axis, the lamb to the Libra of priests, Aries and Libra. In fact, these are the Levites. Levites. The tribe of Levi. This is the tribe of Gad. God and the Levites were priests. Okay? And this is the tribe of Dan, the lost tribe of Dan, Scorpio. And then he said that this is kings, rulers and princes and government officials. Capricorn, Cancer. Can you see why? Material, balance, spiritual. Okay? This is the axis of the priest, this is the axis of the king. All right. So this has advanced us into wave theory a lot more. Let's scrub this and do another one, because we have to do something completely different now. All right. A circle. We said that the sun exalts in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the symbol of the sun, guys. A circle with a dot in it. The Jews say that that is the spirit, that is the soul, and that is the body. The center, the radius, and the circumference. They give this symbol to their children when they start them on the path of spiritual learning.
It's like a G too.
Yeah. Spirit, soul, and body. Now, look at that. Spirit is one. We know that. Right? Radius, Ra, God. The radius of that's the radius of a circle. Ra, Dios. Let's spell it like that, shall we? Because that's what it is. The soul. Ra, God. Ra is the soul. Radharani is the soul of the universe. It's the sun. Soul Invictus. So that has to be the soul. And the body, of course, encircles the whole body in a container. That's a container. So this is 1. This is 7. The soul has 7 chakras. And the circle is 12. 12 plus 7 is 19. And the 1 makes 20, but the 1 is also considered 3 because it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is one. It's just like fire is warmth and light, but they're all one. They're separate things, but fire is warmth and it is light. You can't separate fire from those things. So that's how God is. It's 3. So 3 plus 7 is 10, plus 12 is 22. This is why the Hebrews, we have 22 enzymes, is it? Yes? Amino acids, sorry. 22 amino acids. We have catch 22. 22 major arcana cards in the tarot. 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Oh, there's a long list of 22s. But it comes from that. 1, which is 3. Every radius is 7. And this will be 12. Always. Now, if the sun exalts in Aries, well, let's do all the exaltations, shall we? Moon in Taurus. Rahu in Gemini. Jupiter. Mercury exalts there. Look who exalts over here, guys. Right opposite the sun. Mars and the sexy Venus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, those are the exaltations. Domiciles is different. Let's do the domiciles now. Mars, Venus, Mercury, Moon. Oh, look at this. Where does the sun now, where is the sun domiciled? Remember that trine we did before? Sun exalts here, but it's domiciled here. These are terms in astrology which are dignities, essential dignities. See, when I said to you before, I've got my Mars in Leo and my Sun in Aries. See, Mars is over here. The domiciled ruler of Aries in my chart is over here, and the domiciled ruler of Leo is over here. So that trine is special as well, because that's called a reciprocation. Not only does it connect my cerebrum with my heart, but it's a reciprocation, because it's flipped over. That Mars here is here, and the sun from here is up here. And that is a very, very special thing, a reciprocation. Well, look who's the ruler over here. Mercury is the domicile ruler of Virgo, but he's also the exalter in Virgo. So that means he falls over here and he's in detriment over in Pisces. Well, guess where my Mercury is? In Pisces. But luckily, 1 degree away from Jupiter, because Jupiter is the ruler here. If my Pisces was not near Jupiter in Pisces, I met a lot of Arians who have Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, And yeah, I struggle with the communication. It's the opposite sign is always the detriment, right? So we're going to look at the opposites here. We're going to remember, always look in the mirror. Always look at the opposite. When you look at the opposite, and you find more truth in what you're looking at. So what are we doing here? Venus. Okay, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. Who we got here? Saturn. And what's this? Aquarius. Okay, Saturn, of course. Saturn. All right, let's have a look at these oppositions. Let's have a look at the exaltations. The only one that really stands out, the other ones don't stand out as much, is the Sun, Horus, on the horizon, giving you the hour of the day, and Set. Because that little boy there, Saturn, it's Horus and Set. Now, if we take this also, we're looking at this yearly, let's do it daily, because remember, day is a unit of time, year is a unit of time, so fractally, is that right? Fractally, they should be the same, and they are. So we have 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m., 12 a.m. And we've got a military clock here. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24-hour clock. Okay? So now we see how the day is the year. So the day is moist, the morning is moist, the afternoon is hot. Remember from last week, every wave, every cycle is moist, hot, dry, cold. The morning is moist, the dew in the morning. The afternoon is hot, the evening is dry, the night is cold. Spring is moist, summer is hot, autumn is dry, winter is cold. You were born very, very moist, then you heated up with your passions and your teenage years and ambitions and aspirations. And then you started drying up, getting a few wrinkles, and then you got cold. Old. And every cycle is this: moist, hot, dry, cold. Moist, hot, dry, cold. Any cycle. A 4-stroke engine. Go on.
A cool little rhythm of the planets there is the ruling planets in red. Saturn's next to each other, and then Jupiter are right opposite.
Yeah, we're going to do that. Yeah. Well, this is where I was getting at. So the sun and the moon only have one sign of domicile, and then Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. Goes next, then Venus, then Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn. So you see, Saturn opposes the moon in Capricorn, the great opposer. What's Satan mean? The opposer, the resistor. And then over in Aquarius, Saturn, Set. So here we have a war between Horus and Set, Aries and Libra. But also we have this war in Aquarius and Leo. There is Horus and there's Set. You see, that's why Saturn in the winter is the opposer of the two warm. These warm up our souls. Even though the moon's cold, she still radiates warmth, you know? That's why you have a honeymoon. That's why you have songs like Au clair de la lune. And that's why you always go out and have a romantic evening on the full moon, or you go out and have a fire or a party or something. It's warmth. Generates warmth because you can see at night. So you see how the sun and moon have only got one domicile. The moon always rules Cancer. And you see they say that at this portal here, men incarnate at the gate of men through the moon, and then they leave through the rings of Saturn at the gate of the gods. And this is what Macrobius and all the great Neoplatonists taught, especially in the life of Scipio, or Scipio, which is the right way it should be pronounced in Italian, the great general who defeated Carthage. He had a dream, and he saw this, and he saw it, but it wasn't really a dream, but they attributed it to him as a dream. And who was the Macrobius or Sallustius? Who was I reading? One of the Neoplatonists that covers the dream of Scipio. Anyway, check it out. You can order it online, The Dream of Scipio, and it's Neoplatonic wisdom, but it talks about the gate of the gods. And see, we come from Cancer, and in the dream it says one of the deacons of Leo, Crater, the Holy Grail, Crater. We drink from the cup of intoxication as we descend, and then we get judged in Libra. And then eventually we do that, and then we leave at the gate of the gods through Saturn. Saturn is the highest portal. The sun is the saviour. The moon is what brought us here. This is Ra, El. Isis, Ra, the sun, and Saturn is El. This is also the dwelling place of the seraphim, the first hierarchy, the cherubim or the cherubim, the second hierarchy, and the thrones. And then the fourth hierarchy is man. Thank you, Rudolf Steiner.
Is Mercury closest to the sun because that travels closest with the sun, second to Venus?
Of course, yeah. Just even with the heliocentric model, it's the same. Mercury's closest to the sun.
How far? 26 degrees as far as Mercury travels away
28.
from 28. And then what's Venus?
48.
Wow, and they're right next to each other in that order imprinted in the zodiac.
So you see, this is why Saturn rules, in astrology, there are 4 aspects. We've already done the square and the trine, right? The square is 90 degrees, tetragonal, detrimental.
Hot and dry, Mars.
Mars, exactly. So the square belongs to Mars. Let's see how. Well, because look at this. Mars squares the moon here, and Mars squares the sun here.
Wow.
Right? Jupiter trines the moon here, and Jupiter trines the sun here. So you see how hot and dry belongs to Mars, warm and moist belongs to Jupiter. The sextile, 60 degrees, Venus sextiles the moon here, and Venus sextiles the sun
Wow.
there. So Venus rules the sextiles, because she's sexy.
Yeah. Naturally imprinted.
And then Saturn rules the oppositions. Here he opposes the moon. It's all about the moon and the sun, okay? How do they aspect? See, Mercury doesn't aspect them at all. That's not an aspect. 30 degrees. So he's out of the question. That's why he's neutral. Bisexual. Mercury is neutral because there's no aspect. So here we have good aspect, sextile, bad aspect, square, trigonal, tetragonal, good aspect, trine, trigonal radiation, bad aspect. So you see why this guy gets to be bad in the winter? Look where Saturn is. The sun is here and here on top in the daylight. Because this is the morning, this is sunset. So you see, the sun is here and here, ruling here and exalting here. Saturn exalts here, of course, because he defeats the sun, Satan. He is the opposer of the Son, Jesus Christ. And he's domiciled here. So you see, this, and all the malefics, look, Mars is here. So you've got Saturn, Mars and Saturn in Capricorn, Saturn. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 malefics up here, down here. 5 malefics down in hell. This is hell, this is heaven. Satan.
Also, the South Node is down there too.
Yeah, South Node's here.
Very malefic.
This is Ketu, the tail of the dragon. This is Rahu. Who? Ra. That's who. Rahu. Who? Okay. So you see what's going on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 malefics. Let's see if we find any malefics upstairs, shall we? 1 and no more.
Wow.
1. And why would that 1 be there in Aries? Because wouldn't you need that? Mars is fire. You need Mars, the action hero, and the sun in Aries. So can you see now how waves work? Astrologically, those planets, I didn't put those predictions up. No one invented this. But this is how you explain waves.
One of the best astrology classes right here, I gotta say.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is
maybe the best.
the only way. I've been doing this for like 12 years on my YouTube channel. This is the only way to do it because it all falls into place. Like a Swiss jeweler gets all these. What would you do if you got given all the parts of a watch? Here's a magnifying glass. Here's all the tools. Put that watch together. Donk, donk, donk. What would you do? See, most people look at this and it's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. But it's simple. When you know the basics. This is just the basics in astrology. All right. Now, isn't it interesting? Look at this. Mars rules over here and Venus rules opposite. Mars rules over here and Venus rules opposite. Venus in Taurus, Mars in Scorpio. Venus in Libra, Mars in Aries. So this is Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve. But see here, Adam and Eve are in the paradise. And of course, when they fall down here, they're in hell. This is when they were cast out of the Garden of Eden. This is the Garden of Eden. This is outside of the Garden of Eden. So you can see this is where
they go down the hill.
Yeah. Okay. Again, you can't make this up because how does that work? How do they know that, you know? I mean, if I decided, I think the sun's energy is completely 180 degrees opposite Saturn's energy, so I'll put it there and then I'll put Saturn's there, and I started inventing this. It would never, I'd never be able to do it. I'd never get to this unless you read the books, unless you pay attention. You see. So we have all the stories here. You see. For instance, this will be a Little Red Riding Hood, and Mama says, now as you go through the forest, you see the ecliptic is the forest. but not up here. It's here. This is the forest. This is where...
For rest.
Yeah, this is where the grandma says, be careful, because Lupus, one of the deacons of Libra is Lupus. What's Lupus? The wolf. She said, watch out, because the wolf is in the forest. And he will swallow you. And he always does. He always swallows the sun. But see, Orion up here, and Perseus, the deacon of Aries, what does Perseus do? And what does Orion do? Two heroes. There's 7 heroes along the ecliptic. There's Perseus, Orion, Auriga, Bootes. That's not in Leo. It's in Virgo. Bootes. With the red star that's on the Californian flag. Arcturus. No, not Arcturus, sorry. Arcturus has that red star, which is the brightest star in the Northern Hemisphere. Hercules in Scorpio.
Which deacon is
Ophiuchus. Not sure. I think Hercules is the first deacon. Oh, let me check it. I've got my supervision graphics here. And an hour and a half? Oh, wow. And no one's raised their hands. That means they're all just
They're
enjoying.
learning.
Yeah. Okay.
I just felt like we all are just like flying.
Oh my God, this has gone by so quickly.
Yeah, this one's healthy.
What was I doing? Oh, yeah, okay. Let's have a look. You want to know the deacons. Documents. That one. We want. Yeah. Okay, so in Scorpio, you've got Serpent's Caput, the head of the serpent, Ophiuchus, and Hercules. No, yeah. So you've got one here, Perseus, Orion, Auriga, 3 over here. You've got Bootes, 4, 5, 6, and then you've got Aquarius is also the man. They are the male heroes on the ecliptic. There's 7. Perseus and Cassiopeia and Cetus, Orion, Auriga. Auriga is spelled wrong. Auriga, your name. Auriga, the archer, the charioteer. Sorry, the charioteer. So now we've advanced even more in wave function, the mechanics of the wave. We see now how the planets turn up. These two provide the action of spring. Then the feminine. Look at this beautiful Taurus. It's got both the moon and Venus in it. That's why the Taurians, they say, if you're going to have a harem, you're going to have at least one Taurian. Because that's the real feminine sign. And this is very masculine. But this is the most. And Virgo. Cancer, of course, the mother is more motherly, but here you have like the, this is like, yeah. What, you got 40 in your harem and you haven't got one Taurian? Oh, what's the matter with you? Huh? You got to have at least 6 Taurians if you've got 40. So you see how beautiful. So you got sun and moon there already exalting. This, without me elaborating, this is advancing you in wave theory, guys. These oppositions. Of course, Satan rules the winter. Satan is cold and dry. Cold, dry.
It's opposite the luminaries too. It's dark in the winter.
Yep. Opposite the luminaries, always. He is always opposite the sun and the moon. He's the opposer. Oppositions. Opposer in the Bible. You can pretty much grab words from astrology and just plaster them on top of theology. Like here, remember we said this is the exaltation of the sun, but Easter is the resurrection of the sun. Same word. When you exalt something, you resurrect it. Right?
Saturn in Libra is also sadness.
Yeah, Sat is sad.
How sad is it, the sunset, watching it go away? But it's also beautiful.
Sad. Sadguru. Sadducee. I remember when I was Jehovah's Witness, you would say, why are the Sadducees sad? Because they don't believe in the resurrection. So they are sad, you see. No laughs. I got a That'll do. All right. So I want to do another circle before we finish. And you have advanced in wave mechanics like you never dreamt of. So, we saw how fire was fixed, cardinal here, fixed over here. Wait a minute, let's do it like this. We know that this is fire, right? Cardinal, fixed, mutable. And it just makes sense. You need that explosive spring energy and the morning 2 hours. This is 6 a.m., this is 8 a.m. You need that cardinal energy there in the morning. This is where the alarm clock goes off at 6 a.m.
The lamb clock.
Alarm. Well, is that Mars there, hiding there? Yes, it is. That's the guy who does harm. He's a malefic. And he also is the god of armaments in war. Armaments, yeah? How do you kill people? With your arms, yeah? Mars? Army, which is Mary. Maritime law. War. We are in war. They never declared the end of most wars. So we are still in military occupation, and it's the US military. Now, so we can understand that one. Let's do the Earth one. So, Earth, cardinal Capricorn, fixed Taurus, and mutable Virgo. Well, you explain that one then, in wave function, wave mechanics. Because you can absolutely explain the fire. You can say, well, this is where you need that explosive spark, then you need the fixability of summer, then this dry period must stop. Fire must stop here at the cut-off point so that winter can just be void of fire and cold. So it makes sense. You can't have cardinal fire here, you see. Do you get what I mean? You can't. You can't make this up. You can't do that. That has to be there. Cardinal fire must be there. Fixed fire must be there. What's the hottest time of the day? 2 to 4. Hottest time of the year? August. July, August. The dog days. The dog days? Why is that? Well, because Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, when the sun is conjunct Sirius, it brings about the dog days around here every year. But this is the hottest part of the year, July, August. Hottest part of the day, fixed. And then you've got just the last bits of fire mutating. But how do you explain the Earth one? Why is it cardinal in the middle of winter? Well, it's Earth, void of growth. There's no growth, it's dead, it's just Earth. So when you walk around in winter, there's just the Earth. And there's nothing is growing, it's not doing anything. But here it's fixed, because now you've got blossom and now you've got buds and fruit coming up. And the Earth now is showing her potential now. But here, mutable, the virgin is when the virgins go out to do the harvest. And you know the Virgo moon is called the harvest moon, and the Libra full moon is called the hunter's moon. Well, because now you have to go hunting for your food, foraging. Doesn't mean you go around murdering animals. It's not hunting animals, but that's why it's called the hunter's moon, because you have to go and forage. But here you've got the harvest moon. This is all about the bread, the bread basket of Virgo and the harvest. So you can see clearly that Earth begins here in every wave. The solid injection of Earth energy must start here. I mean the explosive. The solid, stable must be here. The wave must stabilize. After this explosive fire, you must have fixed Earth to counterbalance this. Let's do the air one, shall we? Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Why is air cardinal in Libra? Why does it begin in autumn? Well, I had a point I was going to make now. I had this really great point, but the wind. Well, it's an air sign for a start, but that's a fire sign and that's an earth sign. So,
Opens fall.
it opens. Yeah, it's the dry, and then cold. I had a great thought on that, and I've got a presentation with a chapter on this. I just forget it. Let me come back to that. All right, water. Water. Oh, sorry. We know it's blue, right? Cardinal, fixed, mutable. All right. Water.
Starts raining.
Yeah, the moisture of the heat. You know, so it really, truly begins when it really, really, really gets hot, because fire is the other side of water. All right, and then it's fixed here when it's in Scorpio, because the autumn is now setting up a period of opposition to this fiery place up here, where you've got a lot of fire up there, and the water's dominant down here, and the air is dominant as well. But the other reason is that air is passive. That's it. That's the point. It's passive. Air is passive. And see, this fire is active. So this activates the year, and this or pacifies, I don't know, that makes the year now become cold, and it's the predominant passive humour.
Does that have something to do with Passover there or no?
Yeah, there is a Passover here, but the Passover's here because this is where they sacrifice the sacrificial lamb. Yeah. Aries, where the sun arises with the alarm clock, with Mars hiding in there. Mars is always here at 6 a.m. Action. Get up out of bed. Taurus rules the mouth. Eat breakfast. Gemini's the hands. Do some work. Cancer's the stomach. Have lunch. Leo's the heart. Express your passions. Go back to work. Work hard. Virgo is analytical and she's preparing. Mum starts cooking at 4 o'clock because daddy's coming home and the kids from school, and the Virgin energy of service to the family, cooking and the stomach and the digestive system, and then you sleep 8 hours, right? 8 hours is from here, from 10. Normally we go to bed.
Read a book.
Right? But sometimes mummy and daddy go to bed at 8 and they leave the children to watch TV or something. And Scorpio, sexy energy is happening, isn't it? Romantic. Between 8 and 9, 8 and 10.
Fall asleep in the Jupiter sign. Have visions.
That's right. The happy, sleepy Jupiter. Okay? So here there are no vital organs in the body. This is the cerebrum, this is the cerebellum, this is the lungs, this is the stomach, or the chest and the lung, upper. This is the heart, this is the belly, this is the kidneys, this is the generative system, and right down the bottom of my torso, here is the cerebrum, generative system, and then Sagittarius, the hips, no vital organs, Capricorn, the knees, no vital organs, Aquarius, the shins, no vital organs, Pisces, my feet, no vital organs. So all the vital organs are in the daytime or in the active 16 hours of the day that we're doing stuff, and then we're sleeping when the sun goes through the legs, knees, shins and feet.
It's like the unconscious ones. I mean, the root chakra rules like from the belly button down, so it's like that's all unconscious.
It is.
The root chakra is the
Yeah. The sleep, see, this is conscious, subconscious. This is extroversion, introversion.
Nick said in the chat, air is passive or relaxes, I feel like.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We still haven't done the other ones. So that's why air is cardinal here, because air is a passive element, and now it must begin opposite the active element, and that's masculine, and this is masculine. So the masculine archetype must be cardinal in Libra. It must be, and then it's fixed in Aquarius. Why? Well, because Aquarius is the only man. This is the man. Well, you've got a man here and you've got a woman here, and then you've got two people here, two twins, and then you've got a half a man here in Sagittarius, and Libra is always the woman holding up the scales of justice. So you have what they call human signs. But this one's the main archetype of the human sign. So this is mental, air mental. The mind is fixed. You don't want the mind to be cardinal or mutable, changing and fickle. So this is the proper place, January, February, all the way up to Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, where friends get together. And this is the fixed, friendly, mental stability. And then Gemini is mutable, because you see, Geminians have like two processes in their brain, you see, and there's a duality there. And so that's the end of the passive part of air. Water, that's another easy one. We've got water here, cardinal at this portal, Cancer, and then it's fixed here, of course. This is...
ice, winter.
Yes.
Lakes are frozen.
Yep.
Fixed water.
Exactly. And then mutable water, because Venus is here, the ruler, and Venus, you always see her coming out of an ocean shell, right? Because this is, that's Venus in Pisces exalting. So she hands over to Mars, and she's passive, she's not active. This is a symbol of passiveness, and she's the ruler over here where passive begins, and Aries is active. So this is the waters, the seashell that Venus comes out of. So this is Venus when you see her coming out of the shell. This is Venus when you see her on top of the courtroom with the justice in her. And this is Venus with the scales of justice in her hands and blindfolded. And here, this is Venus when she is venerable, the goddess of beauty and form. All right, guys, anyone there in the chat want to join in the last 20 minutes before we wind it down? What else was I going to do?
Hey, good afternoon, brother. How are you?
Hey, good man. Is that Nick? No.
No, this is new. How are you, Santos?
Good, brother.
Quick question. Can you kind of elaborate on three specific aspects? The AC in Capricorn, the MC in Scorpio, and the EP in Aquarius? Get your insight on those?
Is that your chart?
No, it's the Phoenix chart. I'm doing my side study on the Phoenix cataclysm.
For 2040?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So where's the AC?
The AC. It seems that every time the Phoenix comes around in May, the AC is always in Capricorn, the MC is in Scorpio, and the EP is in Aquarius.
Time.
That can't be.
It depends. Every 2 hours it changes. So which part of the day?
The MC would have to be at least 90 degrees away from the AC. And how can you have the AC in Capricorn? Because every 2 hours it changes. What time of the day is the cataclysm? You must have a specific time. I can't hear you. You're muted, I think. I'm going to need you back.
No, exactly. That's why I wanted your insight, because I've looked at the dates that Jason provided every 138 years. And when May 1st comes at midnight.
Oh, at midnight. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
the AC is always on Capricorn, the MC is on Scorpio, and the EP is on Aquarius. So I'm just trying to put things together.
the EP, I just can't think. What's the EP?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the EP? I'm not thinking.
East Point.
Oh, the East Point. Where is it? In Aquarius?
It's in Aquarius.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to think about that. But Capricorn rising, you remember Saturn is the destroyer. And this is also wintry hell. This is where Jesus, Jupiter Zeus, the Olympian, hands over to Saturn, his daddy, the Titan, and he makes a sacrifice on Ara, the altar, on Mount Olympus. So for Capricorn to be rising, Capricorn can denote evil. So can Aries and Scorpio. They are bitter signs. Where the malefics rule, Mars and Saturn, they are called bitter signs. There are 5 bitter signs: Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Scorpio, and Aquarius. They are the bitter signs. So that can denote evil. Well, that, I've already said, denotes evil. And Aquarius is also can denote evil because Saturn rules here as well. So, yeah, that's interesting. I think you might have hit on something there. I'd research that and explore that more, because you've just landed those points. Oh, what was this again? The EP? The East Point.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, the East Point. Yeah, I keep thinking of the vertex or something.
Yeah, he was saying the software only goes to 2042 on Astro Theme.
Oh my God, that's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's insane. Like I don't know why this energy is just coming to me, but there's a lot of synchronicity. And I'm just trying to put it together because if you go back and you look at it, you know, like on astrotheme.com, like the last cataclysm in 1902, you know, you can kind of see in 2040 what the natural disasters are going to be because you have like Venus, whenever Venus is in Taurus, that brings volcanic eruption. Or when Mars is in like a water sign, it brings floods. So I'm just trying to put things together. So I appreciate your insight.
Yep, thanks, Nu. I forgot a bit. Can you ring the keys here? I think that would be the best thing.
Tell him to what? Bring.
I keep the keys. Pick up the keys. You've got to cook. Santiago. It's on WhatsApp. All right, guys. Any more questions before we wind it up?
Yeah,
Nick.
Hey, Santos, how you doing?
Good.
So I just wanted to share something, actually. I was doing your little assignment that you gave us last Wednesday. And you know how Virgo has L and M in it, right?
Yep.
So one thing I've noticed is how many light-related words I always keep finding. Would you say it's still correct to consider Virgo a kind of a Lucifer as well, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yep. And remember, I placed the word lumen in there. Lumen is mundane light. So right next to L is M in Virgo, and she is Delilah, the betrayer of the sun, from 4 till 6. So you've got L and M here. Lumen, mundane. Looks will be over here. Divine light at the start of the day, and then mundane light will be at the end of the day. Lumen. And LMN always turn up in the same order in every language because it gives you words like the elements, element, lumen, illuminated. And then Libra right next is interesting because Libra well, what do you do when you calibrate something?
Balance it.
Exactly. Right? What about sometimes I just don't, the thoughts is right on the tip of my tongue. That's right. Equilibrate. Equilibrate. Calibrate. So this is the calibrating sign. The scales are there to show you that it's the middle of the sine wave. It's balancing summer and winter, day and night. Libra is always there, 7th sign. And Saturn's the 7th planet, and he's always in Libra, exalting, and September means 7. And Saturn always turns up on the 23rd of September at the equinox, right here. And it's called Judgment Day, the 23rd of September, according to the Jews. Judgment Day or Atonement Day, at one mind. Atonement Day, the 23rd, where Saturn set in September begins, and 7 is the balancing number of 12.
Also got 2 other words as well. So you have L, and then you also have M as well in Virgo. Now this one I'm curious on your thoughts because it made sense to me at the time, but so the first word that I actually learned from Christopher Campbell was Malkuth, which is the earthly realm from what I recall, at the bottom of the Kabbalistic tree of life.
Yep.
Right. Now, because his Malkuth starts with M, and Virgo is mutable Earth, and Virgo's like right before the plane of inertia, which then eventually leads to Libra.
Yep.
So now I'm thinking that would also connect there.
Yes.
And the next one was Mediterranean, which, if you take the word Mediterranean, which means, from the website I saw, sea dividing the world in two. So Medi, you got middle, and then Terranean, which is Terra, which is Earth.
Oh, yeah, good point. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Middle Earth, because it's splitting right in partnership with Libra. And funny, because Libra is, if I'm correct, is the partnership sign.
Yep.
So both are splitting it.
It is. Good thought, man. Yep.
I do.
What about librarian? It's also about it's also about books, because you do more reading in the winter than you do in the summer. That's a fact. Yeah? The books, and these people make good judges, lawyers, librarians. It's funny, they say Librans work in libraries. I've seen that in many astrology books. You can't make this up. The words transfer to the action. Okay? All right.
Oh, sorry, we're wrapping up.
Yep. Unless anyone else wants to jump in, please feel free. There's a lot of people joining today. It's very encouraging, guys. Look at that, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 5 in the studio. Rock and roll. I'll tell you what, that's really, really good. And you're getting good value for money, guys. The presentations are only going to get better, I promise you that. You've got treasures coming your way. And I'm saving all the goodies for the Academy, because, you guys have put that extra effort and support, and, you'll get what happens when you invest time or money or effort is you get more. Hey, where's Nick? Oh, he's probably just gone. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in today. Next week we're going to, it's funny because I was going to do the archetypal words, but I'm going to do those next week. So I probably had a whole bunch of people that prepared 5 or 10 archetypal words for all the letters in the ecliptic. But I wanted to do the mechanics first, because then now that you've got this, the archetypal words that we're going to put in there are going to make more sense. So you have been advanced in wave function, the mechanics of every wave, whether it's longitudinal wave or whether it's a transverse wave. It matters not. Every wave is a unit. The year is a wave on the ecliptic, it's a unit. The day is a wave. Sun going right around over the earth, that's a wave. That's a unit. The hour is a unit, the minute. And they all do that, what we just went through. They all go through those conditions. The sun in Aries in the morning, in spring. Saturn in Libra for the autumn, the fall. All is autumn, all is autumn. Bringing in the passive, and hell is the doorway to hell. Winter is hell. In Italian, hell is inferno, and winter is inverno. How about this? I'll finish with this. So how do we know that this is hell? Well, because this is where winter is. In Italian, inferno, infernal, is hell. But if you change that to a V, you've got winter. In Spanish, infierno is hell. Change that to a V, you've got winter. invierno. All right, guys, so you've got a lot of language knowledge now, a lot of astrological knowledge and wave function knowledge. Hallelujah, long live syncretism, omnia vincit veritas, and we'll see you for next week's lesson. Make sure you think about archetypal letters, L, and the most important L words, the most important M words, N words, S words that really typify that letter. Okay? Thanks, guys. See
Can
you
I
all
add
next
one
week.
more? There's one more word I wanted to quickly share.
Oh, yeah?
In Gemini, we have E, right?
Yeah.
Gemini is located right on the hyperbola.
Yeah.
So you can also get Excalibur, because Excalibur is like a sword.
Yeah. Exactly. That is Excalibur. Excalibur is the hyperbola, and the rock that Excalibur is in is the torus field. Everything goes back to that torus field. That's why the Sam-Best method is the only model and method. Okay, guys. Take care. See you next week. All right.